So now that we're all in this group chat today, a couple of housekeeping items for everybody within earshot of my voice. Now that Lil Wayne album has come out, we can all agree why the Super Bowl did not call him to do the halftime show, right? Also, the BET Awards were last night, um, or Sunday night. I didn't watch. But I think the only reason they gave Jamie Foxx this Icon Award, which they've never done a prior year at all, was because he had that medical emergency. You know, another thing, you know, as we are having these conversations about government work, right? And just government being under attack by, the folks that you voted for. It's not, I was reminded today that it's not the government work that's bad, it's some of the people. So anybody that's listening to this, I want I think it's time for your great aunts, your aunts, and your uncles to retire. Like, if you have a huge responsibility, over somebody's leave and not like earning it, but like trying to get more of the paid leave while they're out of the office. It's probably not a good idea to wait a month or wait 2 months. Then they call you and you want to give this big speech to this person about, oh well, normally we don't accept this, and normally, what's with these dates and what's the request? Why are we on the phone? What are we doing here? You have people, it's a valid request. People are having surgeries out here, and it's probably you probably should have ironed this out months ago. Definitely not like a full work week before the surgery. It's just like when you have something very important or that you're responsible for, it would be very, very helpful if you came across like you were on this planet. Like the audio on the phone or whatever you're using when you work from home is good. Do you really need these questions answered when the information is there? Like, they're not going to need all that other stuff that you're asking for. But it's crazy to me. It's 2025, and you yourself could be the one that's crossing the T's, dotting the I's, filling out all the information on the form, filling out all the paperwork. You submit all of it, and you wait until what, the 25th hour to have questions, and you claim you've reached out to people? No, no. You reaching out to nobody that this person knows. But nevertheless, I want to get up on here. It's just frustrating stuff. And this is the kind of stuff it's like, this only adds to the stress. The raising of the blood pressure, the kind of things that don't need to be an issue going into surgery. All because somebody's great aunt just, I don't think they were on the planet when the phone call was being had. I think it's just, you should probably retire. Unpopular opinions. That's what we specialize here at the IFU's podcast. But I really want to get up on here and discuss day 18 and day 19 of the Diddy trial. Um, the primary witness on the stand those 2 days was who they labeled Jane, who I've already mentioned was Daphne Joy, who was the girlfriend of 50 Cent. But she dated Diddy from 2021 up until August of 2024. And there was a break in there a little bit for a while. And from the first day, we get even deeper into the dark side of things. You know, Cassie laid the foundation, the framework for the the exploits and the freak offs as they were called during her tenure, and laid down the framework for what very well could be sex trafficking. Sex trafficking, coercion, um, coercion into activities with other parties that were brought into the equation under false pretenses. In Daphne Joy's case, she was the girlfriend that was brought in under false pretenses. You had me flown out to LA, you had me flown out to Miami. Um, we started dating, I'm talking like it's her. We started dating in 2021. The first instance happened in May of that year. And during her relationship with Diddy, so she thought she had intermittently in her mind, these were not called free calls, these were called hotel nights. First one happened in May of 2021. And, as she's on the stand and, the first day 18, was definitely a direct examination. Like there wasn't cross yet. Like all day 18, she was handled by the defense, I believe. And then the cross was the prosecution. Now, keep in mind, at this point, Diddy has a defense attorney that goes by the name of Nicole Westmoreland, right? Who we had talked about this during day 16, days and 17, and the prosecution is James Comey's daughter. So in day 18, we get insight into the duration of their relationship and how these hotel nights started essentially 5 months in. How the the first the first couple of instances or the hotel nights, some would last up to 3 days. Like the the least amount of time was like 12 to 18 hours. And understand that like it would start off with a text, you know, we're gonna go do this. We're gonna go do this, or there's a promise of something. Um, Even when it was her birthday, you know, you come out for your birthday and it'll just be us one-on-one time. And by that point, this was something that she had been wanting. She didn't want to do these hotel nights. she really thought she was in a relationship with Diddy. Um, but it was just each time that it was discussed or it was initially this thing, she would come in and it would be something completely different. Sure, for the birthday, we had dinner. We had a great night. But then when we get to the hotel room, as soon as we get there and I have the necklace and everything that you gave me, the first man shows up. Now, at this point, while she's on the stand the first day, there is mention, and keep in mind that like they're going through the text messages. The text messages throughout their entire relationship for the most part. And I say for the most part because at the end of the day, there was an objection based on the based on the hold on, I have my notes right here a little bit. So at some point at the end of the day, mind you, she'd been on the stand pretty much all day. I mean, there was lunch breaks and stuff, but at least 2 hours of just direct examination, and it's just around, questioning around the text messages. But at some point at the end of day 18, it's apparent to the defense team that the prosecutors are trying to prove trafficking by fraud. Now, there are a couple of things you have to keep in mind that when it comes to what you have to argue, you have to prove is the person's state of mind. That's a direct result of them being lied to or them being deceived. Also, you have to prove trafficking by fraud. Now, the the connection that Cassie and Daphne Joy have at the hands of Diddy is that you had these freak offs, you had these hotel nights, you have Daphne Joy has text messages detailing everything. Even her not wanting to do it. And this is in addition to her direct testimony of her experiences after each hotel night, where she's disgusted, where she's throwing up, where there's even some points and mentions of narcotics where she said that she started taking them early on in the relationship. Um, there was a point of, I guess, objection or contention around a message she sent probably 2 years into the relationship where she was like, I want to go back to the way things were in the beginning. Well, in the beginning, y'all were taking drugs and y'all were doing hotel nights. Those first 4 months, she's probably referring to the first 4 months. I mean, to me personally, that's neither here nor there, but we're talking about from the perspective of the prosecution and the defense. The defense being, people that are the legal team for Diddy. We said earlier in previous videos, we try to make it a point to point out that the defense's job is to cast doubt in the juror's mind, poke holes. They may, in a roundabout way, try to set traps for people on the stand. And, there are definitely areas in the text conversations where it's giving like complicity. But you got to understand that like when you are looking at this or you're reading this kind of stuff, it may seem like the person on the stand is playing both sides. But understand that the line of questioning is contingent upon the person that's asking. So, like for the prosecution, it's a little, they are framing their questions in a way to get to the end goal, which is to make Diddy look like some kind of monster. Dude definitely has some dark some dark tendencies. It definitely does come across as I was watching and reading the the transcript from the stenographer that it's giving he's pimping out these women. But also, you know, two things can be true. That I think there's a part of Jane that was attracted to it. Not being pimped out, but the what being in a relationship with a high powered individual can afford you. Case in point, at some point in their relationship, she they had a conversation which was brought up in the trial while she was on the stand that ultimately was around finances and allowance. $10,000 a month. And this is in addition to the flights and the trips and the gifts and stuff for an apartment that I believe she picked out for her to rent that he's paying for. Now, that happened before she, again, felt like she was being lied to and that she was being deceived. When she caught wind that another woman was at Diddy's house in Miami, and when she confronted him on it, he responded in voicemail or voice memo, whatever, which was played in the court, that this lady was a friend and she was only coming over to help, help him work out. And, basically he was doing his I guess his best attempt at being smooth, but also like cussing her and trying to act like he doesn't know what she's talking about. Now this is a couple years into the relationship. There is definitely a cycle and definitely parallels between this dynamic and his dynamic with Cassie. There is drugs involved. There is moments where he is asking her to fly out to LA to pick up paraphernalia and fly back with his bodyguards, security staff, or whatever. She was not comfortable with it. She had a conversation with his former chief of staff, and she was like, "No, it's fine. I do this all the time. Just put it in your check luggage." She wasn't comfortable with it, which makes sense because that's trafficking. But also, there early on, she said on the stand that when supplies got low during the hotel night, he would call up some employees or staff to go get some more stuff. You got to keep in mind this is a RICO and trafficking trial against Sean Combs. There are a few times so far numerous times where people on the stand would, in their testimony, it will hit you like, oh, this may actually stick. This may actually be a fucking problem. So I just want to reiterate that for those that are, a little on the slow learners class, back of the bus, they just are still defending this dude. Even people that he's not dated. Like people outside of his universe are being deceived. The scene in Players Club where she's like, only came to dance for y'all, and that's it. Shit like that. He was doing similar shit like that. And when you have women under the belief that they're in a real relationship with a guy, and they probably like not even 6 months in start the bait and switch. And that continues throughout the 3 years. I would lend myself to say that all bets are off. Now, Jane did say in her messages, I don't care who you lay up with, but I am much more than dark areas of hotel rooms. Which tells me that she didn't sign up for this. But do you think that stopped him? No. It didn't stop him. And mind you, like I said, they dated pretty much up until the time he got arrested. And do you know who he was in bed with when the video footage from him attacking Cassie in that hotel floor, was all over the TVs? Jane was. Shit's crazy. And for those of y'all out here that just do not get it still, like why is it this? How is it that? It they're going to go back and forth, the defense and the prosecution, as to the particulars, withholding of information, and possibly what certain lines in the messages will answer, those things. But understand that force, coercion, fraud, the psychological damage, having folks, men and women, believe that one thing is going to happen, whether it's, discussed or briefed from a third party, or from the man himself that's actually on trial, for the reality to be something different. Yeah, that's not like you bringing them in under false pretenses. Like Jane's being flown in thinking it's going to be a one night, a special romantic evening with my boyfriend. And As I'm sitting on the bed with this necklace you got me, the first man comes in. And after that, we go to the next room. That's part of the suite. There's cake, there's flowers, there's balloons for my birthday. Then the second man comes in. Now, mind you, this is after she had already shown her disdain and her discomfort and was not happy with being used the way that she was. And even throwing up and crying and all that stuff, you sitting there just playing music or telling her, oh, I'm too drunk for all of this. And after you had men run through her, like, he does it again on her birthday. She runs to the bathroom, throws up. He comes in and says, good, you can come back and take this next man. What in the HBO Presents is going on? No, sir. No. Absolutely not. Like, I'm not gonna lie though. My dumb tail, y'all like to share everything on social media and do your own investigation. And I took that shit coming into these 2 days of trial, thinking, what why do we care? This is my initial thought. I've grown, I've evolved, I'm good. Like when you look, we listen, we don't judge, but every once in a while we blink. When I saw Daphne Joy on, I think she was doing TikToks or whatever, I was like, oh, she's pretty, very made up, lunchtime style. And then when y'all were able to connect the dots and tell us who Jane was these 2 days, I was like, oh, okay. Like when it's very easy. You know, I fall victim to it too sometimes. My own superficial, ignorant behind sometimes, my intrusive thoughts. When I looked at Daphne Joy and I was hearing this stuff, I'm like, while there is part of me that's like, this man is indeed pimping you out. There's also another part of me that's like, she kept going. She kept going. She wanted to make an OnlyFans. She wanted to like really do something. And it's like, regardless of how a woman dresses or looks, it is not okay. None of this is okay. Now I don't know what else will come out today or the rest of this week because I feel like it's going to be she's gonna be up there for another day or so. I don't know what else is gonna come because you're talking about 3 years of text messages. Um, and I know the defense is going to try their best to undercut all of that shit because I feel like they want to get to what her intentions were. And why did she keep coming back? And was it the lifestyle that kept you there or all of this stuff? You gotta understand that, like, this is some stressful shit for a person. A, being part of a major trial, called to testify and relive all that stuff and have to go through every single message and have every message you've ever sent or received put up on these big ass cardboards or screens as they're asking you questions. Like, she better than me. Each week we go through this trial. I can hear Cat Williams saying, if Diddy invites you to come party with him, you've got to say no. So this, I would say, this is the dark week, a real dark week. Say that's all I got. Ain't got no more right now. It's only Tuesday, and I got some other stuff to do. I gotta get up out of here because this is just freaking me the fuck out. Get into the After Use podcast wherever you see the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. Get into the YouTube channel. Get into the Usual Suspects podcast wherever you get your podcast.